Did me and my new boo. Tia. Say hey, Tia. Nah, actually, it's just the bear that I got from my baby. I actually just wanted to read to you another short poem that I've written, and it's entitled Self. Self, deep inside, a giant's rift, a gaping wound, sent my soul adrip, dropping. I felt myself bowing down. The same stair that entranced me, the same that aroused me, had ousted me. The same intellectually came to senses and released me, sent me packing away to the only place I could go, to the only place I do and don't know, to the place where there's all of me, some of me, most of me. I think it's me, or possibly an entity, or deity. I think if you look at the right angle, you'll see femininity, masculinity, somewhat coolly contained here inside me, dantily, as neatly as my collared shirt, pressed to empress, prince to prince and empress, black lesbian female, dominant, to rule her queendom. Yet I submerge into self to heal, to return to that which is vital, its presence, to see the womb as the tangibility of flesh, to comprehend soul, still here, to voice, I am myself. Each time resonating mind-boggling relaxation of self as the deepness of my dark self vibrates through, as deep as the gaping wound, deep like the depth of the echo, haunting like the mother's truth. I am myself. Internally, mentally, I see creativity, passion, queenDOM activity rising. Like pus from the womb, antibodies start rising. Like girls liking girls, like people loving people, it starts rising. Mentally, I'm played, mentally, I'm dazed, blinded, sunlit, cross the horizon. Kings don't want these queens to start rising. Femininity is rising, and just like the scab of the wound, like the wound one gave to me, so be I the wound to the giver. The reminder of truth, the promise keeper, deep inside a giant's rift, a gaping wound, my soul you can't sift. Ascending up the same stair that entranced me, the same stair that aroused me, had ousted me, the same intellectually came to senses and released me and sent me packing away to the only place I could go, to the only place, self. Sometimes you gotta go to self when you have nowhere else to go. Sometimes that self might not be what you see in the mirror, but the reflection of the soul is always truth. And truth is, you have to face self at some point. So whether you be staring into the eyes of your lover, and that lover does something that reminds you of self, and you push that lover away, remember that self. Those are the things within yourself that sometimes we try to run away from, that we don't like. We see them in other people and we despise that thing, but it's really the things that we hate within ourselves. When we find ourselves pushing others away, perhaps it's something within us that we want to push away, that we don't know how to express or release or to confront. Because half of healing, half of anything, half of the beginning of a process is first acknowledging that it exists. Sometimes we have a hard time admitting that self exists in whatever form it exists in. Again, this is out there. This is what I put out there for my films. Profess film studs, lesbians, gays, transgender, queer, questioning bisexuals, trans, everybody in the community. Love self. Know self. If you don't know self, if you've hidden from self because you don't like what you see visually from the appearance of your eyes into a mirror, forget what you're seeing in front of a mirror and go into self and figure out what self wants. It's the only place you can go. You can't go to a doctor. You can't go to a psychologist. They can help lead you to the path to self. They can help lead you to figuring out self. But ultimately, you have to figure it out within your own self. You have to go inside self and conjure up all that passion, conjure up all that knowledge, all those things that were encoded into your DNA, that was placed there from your birth. Some things that are innate. You said, well, I just knew it. I just kind of feel this way. I just kind of feel that way. That's self. So anytime you have questions about yourself as a feminine power, as a feminine entity, or as being the person that you placed in this body, remember, this is what everybody else sees. But ultimately, the real you, like the real me, is in here. And it's not really anything else anybody can see. But we try as hard as we can to get other people to begin to comprehend the beauty of you and I. But again, it's difficult to truly explain self. And sometimes self has a wound that hurts so much, but only by addressing the wound, only by cleaning the wound, only by looking at the wound, only by allowing the wound to create these antibodies or anti-self, or, oh, that's something I would never have done. Sometimes the things that we think we would have never done is something sort of like an antibody that helps bring us back to the fullness of who self is. So you have to go mess up a little bit and make wound. You get a wound, and you mess up a little bit, and it seems like life is just hard, like it won't ever heal. It will heal. And I know, like, for some people who are out there transitioning from female to male, you feel like, in a way, you're trying to help heal the wound that's within you that you don't understand. Not understand that I kind of looked at menstrual blood like that, like, that's a wound that, like, every month it comes, that just don't never heal. But then I started looking at it from the perspective that it's also a cleansing of the body. It's a release, just like any other bodily fluid, such as tears, mucus, snot, feces, urine. It's just like any of those other things. Those are things that happen to clean our body, to help cleanse us from some of the things that we go through. And I know that as a woman, I go through a lot. And I think sometimes, just like I have to cry to let that emotional wound out, I think that because the woman naturally goes through a lot, her body cries out. And it cries out in the form of the menstrual cycle. And that menstrual cycle cries out for all the burdens that we carry. Including the pressures of being the bearers of life. Myself as a dominant female, I might not necessarily carry a baby, but just to have the persistence in life to provide and care for oneself and possibly other lives. That's a deep thing. But yeah, y'all stay easy. I could babble on, but they're gonna cut me off in a second. So love y'all, YouTube, and peace.